Hi guys, welcome back to a new week and welcome back to a new video. I hope you enjoy this video. We are going to review a little bit of grammar. We are going to talk about the simple present and positive sentences, negative sentences, and questions, okay? So we are going to continue here with the class. First, the last week we learned to write positive sentences in simple present with the other verbs. Do you remember? So you have to forget the to be verb. Am is are, forget for a while. Okay? Olvídense un poquito del to be verb. Now we are going to concentrate in the other verbs. Okay, so here we are going to review this you learned the last week. Do you remember the positive sentences? So all of them are positive sentences in simple present. First, we are going to review these sentences that we have here with the personal pronouns I, you, we, and they. I read magazines in the mornings. You write sentences in English. We open the book. They need some pencils and erasers. Maria and Marta listen to their teacher. Okay, so what can you notice here is that the verbs doesn't have letter S. Look at this. Any verb in these sentences have letter S, okay? Why? Because when you write sentences with I, you, we, they, in simple present, you don't need to add letter S. But what happened with he, she, and it? Here is different. When you write sentences with the three brothers, he, she, and it, you have to add letter S on the verbs. Look at this, okay? He speaks 3 languages. She sharpens her pencil. It points the board. Frank looks at the board. Lolita puts away her cell phone. In all these sentences, we have added letter S because they are written with the personal pronouns he, she, it, or with the persons that represent these personal pronouns. Okay? So now you know this, you understand this, because the last week I taught this to you. I explained this to you. Okay, so now we are going to continue with the auxiliaries do and does. Okay? So we use the auxiliaries do and does for negatives and questions. When you want to write sentences in negative and sentences and questions, no sentences in questions, sentences in negative and questions, you have to use the auxiliaries do or does. They don't have a meaning, okay? Do you remember that? I think once I explained you, they don't have a meaning. No tienen significado en español, okay? Neither in English. No significan nada. They don't have a meaning, okay? So we use do and does. Do for the personal pronouns I, you, we, they, and does for the personal pronouns he, she, and it. Okay? So you have to memorize this. It's easier if you memorize this does with he, she, it, and do for I, you, we, they. Okay? So now we are going to continue here. Okay. Negative sentences in simple present. For negation, we use the auxiliaries do, does, plus the word not. Okay, so you have to use do, does, and you have to add the word not. This is for negative sentences, when we say no. So we have here positive sentences And here we have the same sentences but in negative. So, I read magazines in the mornings. When you want to negate, you have to say, I do not read magazines in the mornings. You only have to add do not before the verb, okay? And that's it. That's it. You have to write, if you can say after the noun, después del noun or del personal pronoun, or after the subject, después del sujeto, you have to write the negation. Subject, negation, verb, and complement. Okay, so this is the order. Okay, here we have you write sentences in English. You don't write sentences in English. The same sentence, but here this is in negative. We open the book. We do not open the book. They need some pencils and erasers. They do not need some pencils and erasers. Maria and Marta listen to their teacher. Maria and Marta do not listen to their teacher. Okay? So you have here in positive and you have here in negative. You only added do not. Okay? Now here. To write negative sentences, you have to write do not or the contraction don't. These are the same. You can write in full form do not or in contraction don't before the verb. ¿Ok? Puede escribir de esta manera o puede hacerla chiquita, contracción de esta manera. As I told you in classes once, it's very common in English to use contractions. Es muy común. Lo que más va a encontrar es esto. ¿Ok? So we have, I don't read magazines in the mornings. I don't. Is the same sentence, the same meaning, el mismo significado, but here you have the contraction. I don't read magazines in the mornings. You do not write sentences in English. You don't write sentences in English. Of course, the pronunciation changed a little bit. We do not open the book. We don't open the book. They do not need some pencils. They don't need some pencils and erasers. Maria and Marta do not listen to their teacher. Maria and Marta don't listen to their teacher. Okay? So this is in contraction and this is in full form. The same sentences, the same meaning, but here you have in full form and here you have in contraction. Okay. Now here. To write negative sentence, you have to write does or does not before the verb and do not add letter S. Okay, so you have to write does not. So here, let me do something. Okay, we are here again. I fixed this because I forget to put this. Okay, so we have here. To write negative sentences, you have to write doesn't or does not before the verb and do not add letter S to the verb, okay? So we are going to have here positive sentences. We have, he speaks 3 languages. Okay, here in negative sentences, we have, he does not speak 3 languages. So what do you notice here? In this case, we are writing sentences using he, she, and it, or names that represents these personal pronouns. Aquí estamos solamente con he, she, it, ¿ok? Or names o nombres que representan a estos pronombres personales. In positive sentences, you have to add letter S. This is the rule. He speaks 3 languages. What happens when you write the same sentence but in negative? You add does not, but you don't have to continue adding letter S. Okay, so letter S disappear and you have to continue with the rest of the sentence in the same way. He doesn't speak 3 languages. She sharpens her pencil. She does not sharpen her pencil. Again, letter S disappear because you have the auxiliary. When you have the auxiliary, you don't need letter S. It points the board. It does not point the board. Disappear letter S because you have the auxiliary. Frank looks at the board. Frank does not look at the board. Lolita puts away her cell phone. Lolita does not put away her cell phone. So when you have the auxiliary, the negation, you don't need to add letter S. Letter S in the verb disappear in negative. Okay? Now here. We have does not, that is the same that doesn't, the contraction. So you have here the full form. He does not speak 3 languages. And you have here the contraction. He doesn't speak 3 languages. She does not sharpen her pencil. She doesn't sharpen her pencil. It does not point the board. It doesn't point the board. Frank does not look at the board. Frank doesn't look at the board. Lolita does not put away her cell phone. Lolita doesn't put away her cell phone. Okay? So you have here in full form and you have here in contraction. Okay. So now here we are going to practice. Rewrite the sentences using contractions, okay? So we have the president does not put away the papers. Some schools do not close during the weekends. The doctors do not find the hospital. The student does not sharpen his pencil. The boys and girls do not understand the rules. I do not write my first name in my ID card. People do not talk in the streets about the news. She does not solve her problems. All the vocabulary that you have here, you know, okay? Or at least you should know. Okay, now here, you are going to stop the video here and you are going to copy the sentences and you are going to rewrite the same sentences using contractions, okay? So you are going to rewrite but using contractions, okay? Stop the video and copy the sentences, please. Stop. Okay, so now here, okay. We are going to review your exercise. Look at this. You have the president doesn't put away the papers. The president doesn't with a contraction. It's the same. Does not, but here is with contraction. Okay? Does not, contraction. Full form and contraction. Some schools don't close during weekends. The doctors don't find the hospital. The student doesn't sharpen his pencil. The boys and girls don't understand the rules. I don't write my first name in my ID card. People don't talk in the streets about the news. She doesn't solve her problems. Okay? So the same sentences here in full form, but here you use contraction. Okay. Now, practice. Choose the correct option in each sentence. The students doesn't or the students don't. You have two options in each sentence. You are going to choose the correct option in each one. Remember, for this exercise, you only, where is the arrow? For this exercise, you only have to remember the auxiliary do you use with which personal pronouns, and the auxiliary does you use with which personal pronouns. Remember, does you use with he, she, it, and do you use with I, you, we, and they. Okay? With this in mind, you are going to choose the best option in each sentence. Okay, yeah, start working. In this part, please stop the video and choose the best option for each sentence. Stop the video. Okay, so now here we are going to review what you did. Look at this. Number 1, the students don't. This is the correct answer. The students don't take turns during the game. Okay? So why you choose don't? Because the auxiliary do you have to use with the plural. In this case, the students is the same that they. En vez de decir de los estudiantes, usted dice ellos. El pronombre personal they, you have to use don't. Okay? So let me see something here. Okay. Now, number 2, the instructor. The instructor maybe could be he or she. The instructor doesn't. Okay? This is the correct because the instructor is he or she and you have to use the auxiliary does. Pablo and Annabelle don't because you use the auxiliary do. I don't put away my cell phone. The Vietnamese student doesn't act out in the role play. What is the meaning of act out? Act out is like cuando usted hace como una mímica, actuar, ¿ok? Role play significa algo que usted hace como un teatro. She doesn't guess the correct answer. Guess, adivinar, the correct answer, ¿ok? So, ella no adivina la respuesta correcta. Guess. Michael doesn't share his lunch with his friend. Doesn't because it's Michael. Michael is he. Share, compartir, and his friend, su amigo. We don't count the books correctly. So we don't count, contar. Okay, so if you have in this way, perfect. So if you did wrong, you only have to come back to here, to this slide here, and you have to remember this part. You use do, the auxiliary do, with I, you, we, they, and you use the auxiliary does with he, she, it. For negation, you have to add do not, does not. And if you want to use contraction, you have to use the contraction that is don't or doesn't. Okay? Doesn't. That's it. Okay, so now we are going to continue. Okay, so next. Change the following sentences into negative. Okay, so we have here these sentences. All these sentences here are positive sentences. Okay, you are going to change these positive sentences into negative sentences. Joaquin looks at the board when his teacher explained the class. Oh, I have an error here. Here I have to say when his teacher explains. Look at this, okay? So I have an error here. So let me see if I can correct the error here. Okay, so I am here again. Sorry about that. Okay, so I correct the mistake and I have Joaquin looks at the board when his teacher explains the class. Trini and Ole listen to English music to learn new vocabulary. The students point new words in the reading. Marta repeats the new vocabulary to practice pronunciation. Isabel circles the correct answer on her test. Anita and Gabby match the pictures with the correct words. The secretaries solve the students' problems. Maria's daughter uses the computer at home. Okay? All these 8 positive sentences now you are going to change into negative sentences. Okay? Remember the auxiliary do, does. Do not, does not. Don't, doesn't. Okay? Stop the video and change the sentences into negative. Stop. Okay, so now here we are going to review your answers. Okay, number 1, Joaquin doesn't look. You don't need letter S anymore because you have the auxiliary. Joaquin doesn't look at the board when his teacher explains, the class. You have to add here letter S. Trini and Ole don't. You have to use don't because it's 2 people, Trini and Ole. They listen to English music to learn new vocabulary. The students don't point new words in the reading. Okay, so the students don't. Okay, Marta doesn't repeat the new vocabulary to practice pronunciation. You don't need letter S. Isabel doesn't circle the correct answer on her test, so you don't need letter S. Anita and Gabby don't match the pictures with the correct words. The secretaries don't solve the students' problems. Maria's daughter doesn't, because it's Maria's daughter, la hija de María, okay? La hija de María is she, so you say she doesn't use the computer at home. You don't need letter S, okay? So if you have in this way, good job. If not, you can repeat and practice, okay? Perfect. Okay, now here. Correct the mistakes in the following sentences. Each sentence has one mistake that you are going to find and correct it, okay? So remember, each sentence has a mistake. Tiene un error. You are going to find, encuentre y corrija, okay? Find and correct the mistake, okay? So in this exercise, please stop the video, copy the sentences, and correct the mistake. Or if you don't need to copy, just find the mistake, okay? Stop the video. Okay. Now we are going to review the exercise, okay? So we have children doesn't. Why? Because children is plural, okay? So for plural with I, you, we, they, you don't have to use the auxiliary does. The auxiliary does is only for he, she, it. So the correct way is children don't like to read newspapers. Number 2, women don't solve. The problem is here. You don't need letter S here. You don't need letter S. First, primero, because it's women, porque es plural. En plural, you don't have to add letter S. And second, because you use this auxiliary don't. When you use auxiliary, you don't need letter S. For these two reasons, you don't need letter S here. This is wrong. Women don't solve their problems. Number 3. The man in blue don't open the door. El hombre en azul o vestido de azul no abre la puerta. So the man in blue is he. When you use the personal pronoun he or something that represents he, the third person of singular, you don't have to use don't. The correct is the man in blue doesn't open the door. Number 4, we don't ask questions to the teacher. This is incorrect. First, you don't need to add es to a verb that ends in K. Primero, usted no añade es a un verbo que termina en K. This is completely wrong. And segundo, you don't add es or es with the personal pronoun we. Cuando utilizamos we, no necesita añadir nada al verbo. So the correct is we don't ask questions to the teacher. Number 5, the girl don't guess the answer because the girl is she, porque esto es she. Usted está utilizando aquí incorrecto, this don't, okay? The auxiliary is doesn't. The girl doesn't guess the answer. Number 6, I don't answers. This is incorrect for two things. First, you don't have to add letter S. You don't have to add letter S when you use the personal pronoun I. And also, you don't have to add letter S when you use auxiliary. So this is incorrect. I don't answer the test. Number 7, he don't complete the letter. What is wrong here? You don't have to use don't. The correct is doesn't because it's he. Number 8, they doesn't work in the school. Okay? So you don't have to use does or doesn't with the personal pronoun they. You have to use they don't work in the school. Okay? So if you have in this way, good. If not, please try to practice. Repeat the exercise. Okay? If you have questions, you can ask me questions. Okay, so now here. Complete the sentences in negative. Okay, so you have here this the first part of the sentence. You have the subject, les he dado el sujeto. You have here the verb, but you have to write these sentences in negative. Okay, so I erase the board. This is positive. You have to say I don't erase the board, for example. Okay, so here please stop the video and complete these sentences in negative. Stop. Okay, so now here we are going to review. Look at this. Those are possible answers. These, maybe you have different. Of course, you are going to have different. Vamos a tener esto que está en negro diferente, okay? But the first part we should have the same. Deberíamos tener igual la primera parte en rojo. Look at this. I don't erase the board, the mistake, the book, whatever. Number 2. Abigail doesn't understand the signs, doesn't understand the homework, the class, etc. Okay? But Abigail doesn't understand. Number 3, my classmates don't use the dictionary, the book, the cell phones, whatever. Number 4, the school doesn't open at 8, 9, 10, etc. Okay? But the school doesn't open. My family doesn't listen to the radio. My family doesn't listen to the radio, to the TV, to the news, etc. So maybe some people here maybe write my family don't. Sometimes it could be accepted, okay? Number 6, Guadalupe's son, el hijo de Guadalupe. Guadalupe's son, el hijo de Guadalupe es he. So you have to use doesn't answer the questions. Guadalupe's son doesn't answer the questions, okay? Now here. My daughter's friends don't speak English, okay? My daughter's friends don't speak English because they are many friends, maybe 2, 3, 4. So it's they. For they, you have to use don't. Okay? My husband's parents, papá y mamá, too. My husband's parents, padres de mi esposo, okay, don't read the book, okay, because it's two people, it's plural, you have to use don't. So if you have in this way, good job. If not, you can try again, or you can ask me for, you can send me a text message, or you can call me, okay? Now we are going to continue here. Okay, homework. Write 5 positive sentences, then change them into negative. For example, people use computers to study at home. This is positive. Aquí escribió la positiva. Now, the same sentence le va a escribir en negative. La misma oración le hace negativa. People don't use computers to study at home. Va a escribir 5 sentences. You can write very simple, no quiero largas. If you can, perfect. Si usted puede escribir largas, perfect. If not, very simple. For example, I read a book. Aquí pone I don't read a book. Maria writes a letter. Maria doesn't write a letter. Very simple sentences, okay? So remember, the auxiliary do is for I, you, we, they. The auxiliary does is for he, she, and it. Okay? So, espero que me envíen los deberes. Espero saber de ustedes. Enjoy the video. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to contact me to my WhatsApp. Okay? Have a wonderful rest of the week. Bye-bye.